How many of you would like it if every time someone looked at you, they saw God? Or every time someone was in your presence, they felt this divine unconditional love? Or every interaction you had, there was this sense of peace and harmony instead of tension and resistance and ego? Well, the good news is that can absolutely be a reality for you. And one of my favorite mystics of all time, Thomas Merton, thankfully gave us the formula to experience that. So this is a quote from Thomas Merton. And this is actually something I read when I was studying Christian mysticism and going through my own awakening. Thomas said this. He said, "When you see God in everyone, then they see God in you." And if you're uncomfortable with that word God, that's fine. You can replace it with the self, capital S, or the divine, or the Christ, whatever you want. When you see the divine, the Christ in everyone, then they see that in you. Now, the question is, how do we actually see that in everyone? Because for most of us, especially right now, it's hard to do that sometimes. Living in these different spheres of us versus them. And the reason I shared my experience earlier, like I said, was to kind of give you something to relate to. Because for me, when I think of this personally, I go back to my religious roots. That's been a huge part of my life. And I know for many of you, you'll be able to understand that. So, um, how do we actually see God in everyone? Well, here's the thing: when there's judgment, when you are seemingly judging someone else, or someone else is seemingly judging you, and that's what's creating the tension and the conflict and the chaos that comes from that, what we have to understand is that's not coming from them, and it's not coming from you. Because when I look back on my life, even before I started learning the different theology and stuff as a kid, or my religious tradition, there was a time, maybe it was a year or 2 years, I don't know, but there was a time where I was just a kid. I didn't really have any conditioning, or it was very little. I didn't have any indoctrination. And I was full of playfulness and laughter and joy and peace, and loved everyone equally, right? It was just, that was it. Then I got conditioned to think a certain way, to believe a certain way, to behave a certain way. And that happens to everyone. It's just part of it. And when this conditioning happens, we live in the world of conditioning. And the conditioning, first and foremost, blocks us from seeing who we really are. And then it blocks us from seeing who other people really are. Do you see that? So, judgment, division, all those things that stem from that, fear, anxiety, guilt, shame, insecurity, all of those things exist in the realm of conditioning, not in the realm of the true self that's right behind the conditioning the whole time. And that's why, I've made some pretty radical statements that have brought people immense liberation and wholeness, sometimes instantaneously. When I've said things like, it's not your fault, and it's never been your fault. And also, it's never been anyone else's fault. People are like, what do you mean? How can you say that? Well, the reason I can say that is because no matter what you did, when you did it, you were doing it from the level of consciousness you had at the time, and you were doing the best you could with that conditioning. Everything we think, everything we say, everything we believe, feel, all of it is stemming from our conditioning. It's not actually stemming from the true self. If it's going against love, which is the essence of our true self. So that's how it's never been your fault. You can try to find fault in someone else and play the blame game, but what you'll find is even for the other person, that applies to them as well. Everyone is doing the best they can with the conditioning they have, the level of consciousness they have. But you take that same person, that same soul, that same being, give them a different conditioning somehow, you deprogram their subconscious and then reprogram it. Guess what? They're going to be saying things differently. They're going to be believing things differently. They're going to be behaving differently. There's going to be different fruit, different actions. Same soul, same being, different conditioning. So you take, let's just say, for example, your religious indoctrination, your religious conditioning. What's interesting with most conditionings, and this is, by the way, this is not just for religion, obviously. We find conditioning in many different aspects of life. But what's interesting about it is that it's almost like designed to go straight for your identity, right? So it's training you to believe something about yourself, and then everything else stems from that. When I was in the church world, it was, I am a Christian. And listen to those words, listen to that conditioning. I am, which is the essence of the self, like what it means to exist. I am a Christian. So then what happens is everything that gets built on top of that, doctrine wise, is entangled with that identity conditioning. And so when that is challenged, or when you hear something that's outside of your belief system that is attached to your identity, it feels personal. And that's why we see people all the time. And I'm speaking from even past experiences when I was like into apologetics. When someone would really challenge my faith, they were challenging me, and my ego would flare up, and I would have to prove them wrong because, again, being right was my sense of salvation. So, do you see how this works? And this is not just in religion; it's in politics, it's in education, it's in the whole health world. There's all these what do they call them? Experts, food gurus, right? So this is everywhere. But the pattern or the paradigm of the conditioning going for you to believe something about yourself at the core is the same. And it's never accurate. It's never the truth. It might be a real experience for you. You might really feel like you're this or you're that, but it's never the truth. So when we say the illusion of separation, this is what we literally mean. This world of separation of us versus them, me, not me, that's literally an illusion that only exists because of conditioning that came through on the level of the mind, right? So when we understand that people are doing the best they can with the level of consciousness and conditioning they have, what does that create in us? That creates the ability for us to expand our consciousness so that we can actually see through that. Think of it like clouds. You're seeing through the clouds of a person's conditioning, and you're seeing them, not their conditioning, but them, just behind those clouds. And when you see them, it's actually the essence of you, which, by the way, I forgot to say this. The only way you're experiencing that expansion of consciousness to be able to see them, to be able to see God in them, is when it happens first and foremost within yourself. When those clouds clear and you discover, which is what awakening is all about, know thyself. When you discover who you really are beyond your conditioning, I'm this, I'm that, then that is the very thing that activates that perception or that level of consciousness to be able to see that same essence, that same consciousness within another being, within all beings. And from this place, think about judgment. Is there any room for judgment here? No, because judgment is only in the realm of two minds that are conditioned to believe that separation is reality. Even forgiveness. Even forgiveness. See, a lot of times we think, especially for me, like I remember growing up in the church and being taught about forgiveness all the time. I used to think forgiveness was something that I had to do. It was like this egoic task of mine. And that's what, to me, because of what I was being taught, that's what kind of made me, a Christian. I love other people. I forgive them, which means I'm following Christ. I'm following the Bible. But forgiveness is not something you do. You can't forgive, actually. Forgiveness is a byproduct of seeing. So when you're able to actually see past a person's conditioning, then forgiveness just happens. Forgiveness is the clearing of the clouds because how many of you know, like when you're sitting there trying to forgive someone's stuff from their conditioning, it's challenging and it doesn't always feel genuine. You're like, am I really forgiving them? Like that was horrible or that was whatever. Like when the mind is trying to understand things on the level of the mind, or fighting the mind and trying to it gets really messy and chaotic. It's a storm. It's not the clear blue sky beyond it. So transcending judgment is not something you do. It's a byproduct of seeing the truth. Forgiveness is not something you do. It's a byproduct of seeing the truth. Even love, true love, is not actually something that you do. It's a byproduct of seeing the truth, and that truth of love is what you are. So it's seeing yourself in another and then living in a harmonious way based upon that. And you don't need a belief system. You don't need a particular religion to teach you how to treat another human being. Think about that. Without the conditioning, which for some people, I would say for all of us actually, the conditioning actually served a purpose. Maybe it helped us develop a framework that we would eventually transcend, but at some point, the bird has to leave the nest. There's got to be that freedom experience. But what I was saying was, and people have brought this up, they've said, Logan, like without dogma, without the commandments, without the different spiritual teachings, how are people going to know how to love one another? How are they going to know how to treat one another? People are going to do the opposite and go crazy and do all these horrible things. My response to them is, well, that's your conditioning. That's what you've been led to believe. And now there's fear there. The truth is, without the conditioning or with some kind of reprogramming that goes on, transcending and including, you are love itself. And that light shines. And that is what starts to guide you instead of some kind of external doctrine or teaching or belief system. And what's cool is when we start to directly experience that and then see it in others, then they see God in us. And it's no longer, hey, wait a second, wait, before you say anything else, what do you believe? What tradition do you belong to? Wait, do you see it from this perspective or that, or what's your interpretation? That goes out the window. It's not even a question anymore. And there's nothing left but unity consciousness and oneness and the light of life. And now we all start to see things differently from that higher perspective. Okay, so make sure that you are in a comfortable position. Make sure that there are no distractions around you in the room or the space that you're in. And just begin to gently notice the natural rise and fall of your breath. You don't need to do any fancy breath work technique. Just notice the natural rise and fall of the breath. Rising, falling, rising, falling. If there's any tension in the body, just notice it. If there's any emotions, feelings arising at this time, just notice it. If there's any noises, background noises, like birds or traffic or whatever, just notice it. Welcome it. Include them in this meditation. But notice, you are not what you're feeling. You are not your emotions. You are not your thoughts. You are not the different sounds or distractions that may be in the space that you're in. You are the awareness behind it all. The feelings may change, the emotions may shift, the thoughts may come and go, but you, the awareness, is unchanging. You are the sky just behind the clouds that's never been affected by a cloud or a storm. So whatever's arising within you, awareness, just let it be there. As you sink into this awareness, you will notice that this presence has no judgment. It has no fear. It has no anxiety. It has no shame. It has no guilt. It's free. Just witnessing, just observing all that arises within it. At this time, from this place of awareness, from this place of you being detached from identifying with any thought or feeling or something from the past, I want you to imagine someone that your mind has judged, has blamed, has been angry at, has not been able to forgive. Notice this person right now at the center of your mind. Now think about why you judge this person. The reason. Why the division? Why the anger? Why the bitterness? Think about that. From this place of awareness, which is the real you, see this event, this circumstance, this situation with this other person as a cloud. And gently notice that that person is beyond that cloud. The soul of that person, their true essence, their true being, is not what they did. It's not what they said. It's not what they believed. They were doing the best they could with their programming, which wasn't their fault. They were programmed. It had to do with their upbringing, their past, their wounds. And when they did what they did, they were doing the best they could with the level of consciousness they had at that time. Think of the conditioning as like a VR headset. Something that was on their mind, controlling their mind, but it was not them. Now, from this place of awareness, from this place of truth, see past this person's conditioning, see past the clouds, the programming, and just see the inner child of that person before they were conditioned, before they were programmed. What do you see? What is your response now? Is there still judgment? Is there still anger? Is there still bitterness? Within that inner child, there is a light that is pure, innocent, whole, divine. See that light. The light that you are seeing right now in that person is the same light that you are. The same light that you are that is seeing that light is one light, one consciousness, one being, one self, beyond all conditioning, beyond all indoctrination, beyond all of our differences. Notice now what you're feeling. Maybe you feel lighter. Maybe you feel peace. Maybe you feel forgiveness. Maybe judgment has been lost in the wind. Now imagine the light that you are seeing within this other person and the light that you are merging into one light. And as this is happening, you are seeing many other lights all around you. Millions, billions, all coming together to create one big radiant light like the sun. See this in your awareness. Feel it. One light, one heart, one love. Here, there is joy. Here, there is freedom. Here, there is love. And from this one light, from this sun, imagine infinite rays coming from this one light. Each ray unique. Each ray a slightly different form, a slightly different expression. This is you, me, all of us. In this one light, we live and move and have our being. We are all one, but without the we would never know that. So celebrate the uniqueness, the expressions, the emanations of the one. This is relationship. This is what it's all about. All the different waves of the ocean, rising and falling, dancing and singing, in glory, in love, in unity. Now take a minute or two and just sit in this sun, in this light. Soak it all up, take it all in, embrace it. Feel the energy in your body right now of love and non-judgment for all of humanity, for everyone and everything. Take a few moments to sit with this. Father, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. I am in you, you are in me, we are one. I am in you, you are in me, we are one. I am in you, you are in me, we are one. At this time, gently return to your breath, to the present moment, and focus once again on the natural rise and fall of your breath. As we conclude this meditation, take a moment to just embody gratitude for this experience, for any insights or clarity that you received during this time, for any inspiration, for anything that you feel like expanded your consciousness. Take a moment, sit in gratitude, and then when you're ready, you can move your arms a little bit, move your legs, take a deep breath, open your eyes, and return to the moment. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You can open your eyes, move around, return to the moment.